Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachel. I'm a self-published author and normally I do more writing related content or TV reactions lately, or a lot of different things actually now that I think about it. And today we're talking about one of my favorite things, Taylor Swift. As you can see, I love Taylor, so this is not going to be a super negative video because there's really not a lot of negative things to say, to be honest with you. It's just facts. I already reacted to The Life of a Showgirl when it first came out. I listened to it the night it came out and did a reaction video, and then did like a follow-up the next day about how I still felt about the music the following day. And since then, my opinions have only grown stronger, and so have the rest of the world's. It's been a little bit of a hard week being a Swiftie. I mean, I don't want that to sound woe is me or anything. It's just annoying because every time I turn around, there's another article that's just so critical in the weirdest ways. And there's, another reaction video that's really critical in a weird way. And granted, I've seen a lot of positive things too, but it just feels like this particular album has been so bizarrely polarizing, and I'm struggling to understand why. And so I read a bunch of articles and watched a bunch of different videos from people who were complaining about the album to try and understand what it was that bothered them so deeply. If you hear snoring, by the way, that's my dog. She's dead asleep right now. We're just going to start by reading off a few of the criticisms that I've heard, and then we'll talk about my thoughts. So a lot of the complaints that I'm hearing, it's not lyrical enough. It doesn't bop enough. So even though this album was produced with Max Martin and Shellback, who also helped produce a lot of her other music that is known for being a bop, like 1989 Reputation, this album doesn't have enough of like the, oh my gosh, you were snoring so loud. It doesn't hit hard enough. There are complaints that it's disjointed because each of the tracks kind of has an individual sonic compilation to it, and people don't like that. I've heard complaints that it doesn't feel like a Showgirl, like the album doesn't have the feeling of a Showgirl. People are upset because they believe that the tone of this album is basically Taylor getting high on herself, kind of being like, look at me, I'm so amazing kind of thing. The satire is not reading, apparently. There's criticism about the one-liners. People don't like the cheeky one-liners. They don't like the modern language mixed into all of this. There's a lot of conversation about this album not having enough depth or pain or personal experiences. It doesn't read as diaristic as her previous albums. So the claim is that this album therefore is harder for Swifties to relate to. Bullshit. And that there's too much of a merge between the eras rather than one distinct sound. Here's what I have to say about a lot of those things. She's snoring so loud. So my thoughts in comparison to all of those things. First of all, I just want to say, anybody who has criticisms about this album, you're allowed to have them. I'm not trying to tell anybody they can't talk about it or that people aren't allowed to write articles and make videos. I'm making a video right now. What's bothering me so deeply is that this doesn't feel like the response you give to something that just doesn't fit for you. This feels like the response you give when you feel like you were promised something and now you're mad because it's not what you thought it was. It almost feels like the response you would give if you've met someone on a dating app and then went to meet them in person. Like their profile said they were 6'5", big and beefy. They talked about football in your conversations and had a really deep voice and all the things, and then you go and meet them and they're actually 5'2", really tiny, very high-pitched voice, and they talk about theater. Those things are not bad either way, but it's not what you felt you were promised. And I feel like that's what bothers me about the response, is that there feels like there's entitlement in the negativity. Like everyone feels they're entitled to decide what genre, what sound, what stories Taylor should tell. Because we have this parasocial relationship with her as her fans, where we feel like we know her, we feel like she knows us, we feel then I feel like we're acting, a lot of people, not all of us, but a lot of people are acting as though they have a right to demand the way she's going to portray herself, the way she's going to sing, the way she's going to go about her marketing, all of it. Like, people are, I think there's a little bit of entitlement going around, in my opinion. Not that that's everybody, and not every negative opinion has felt that way, but there have been a lot that have felt that way to me. And one of the things I've heard from people is that this album doesn't feel as deep or poetic or well written as like Folklore, Evermore, or TTPD. And I just feel like it's almost like walking into a sushi restaurant and being mad there's no burgers. Like, what does one really have to do with the other? Just because your preference is the sad, moody, poetic stuff doesn't mean that this album doesn't hold value. And that's really bothersome to me, that people feel like, oh, this is who Taylor is now. She's the person who does this really poetic, really lyrical, heavy storytelling. And so when she deviates from that, we're no longer happy with her because she's deviating from what we've decided she is. And vice versa. People feel that people who loved the pop version of her were not super happy about Evermore, Folklore, and TTPD. They were like, well, it's whatever, but like, can I have pop back? And it's just, I feel like there's a little bit of like elitism or something when it comes to people being like, oh, it's not as deep or interesting as Evermore, and it's not as personal, it doesn't have as good of writing, and they don't like the pop culture references. And it's like, the thing that I love so much about this album, let's talk about all the things I love, shall we? Number one, I think this album hits. Like, it smacks. The first time I listened to it, you could see it on my face, and I still feel that way. Let me actually show you right now the number of times I have listened to this album. My Stats FM is saying I have streamed The Life of a Showgirl 234 times. I don't know if that's per track. I mean, last I checked yesterday, I had streamed The Fate of Ophelia 22 times, and I've listened to it probably 5 times since then. So we're probably up to like 30 times that I've streamed this album. That's how much and that's not including me listening to the vinyl, which arrived yesterday. No, day before yesterday. I love this album. Like, I don't understand how anybody could ever say it's not a bop. Like, the beats, the crescendos, the harmonies, the way things are so strategically added, like, it's not this, like, it's not haphazardly done. Everything is so particularly crafted to give the song the best, like, thematic sound it can possibly have. And I feel that, and I appreciate that about this album. I also don't understand why people don't like the different variations of songs. Like I said in my reaction video, I love that aspect to it because I'm not going to get sick of this album. At least it's going to take me a long time because each song feels so different. It almost, to me, feels like if Taylor were to do like a time travel situation, each song would be her in an alternate universe, in a different alternate universe. So it's like it's the same character experiencing different stories in different styles of universes. Does that make sense? It feels like a Showgirl album, but it feels like different aspects of it. I think people were expecting, like, I don't know, like can lines or something. Like, I think they were expecting more like a musical type of vibe, or like a more Vegas Showgirl type of vibe or something. But I think what this album does actually do is it just encapsulates the overall feeling of being a showgirl, the good, the bad, and the ugly, falling in love in the midst of it all, what it feels like to have to deal with public image, which none of us know anything about public image on that level. So people who are like giving her crap for saying anything about how hard it is, I'm like, shut up. You have literally no concept of what that must be to experience that. So she's not complaining. She's sharing the experience with us, and we can all empathize with that experience on some level, where people have believed things about you that weren't true, all the things. I mean, we've been to Reputation. We get this. I think the two biggest issues I have with people disliking this album, first of all, a lot of people I know who've said they don't like it listened to like half of the tracks. And I'm like, that's like me watching half a movie and then saying that the movie sucked. I didn't see the whole thing. What are you talking about? And half the time when people listen to music, they're not actively paying attention. It's on in the background, even their first listen. So it's like, I don't think that really that qualifies. I mean, it's not that you're not allowed to have the opinion, but I don't think it puts a lot of evidence behind the opinion if you've only listened to half the tracks one time when you were casually kind of sort of listening. That's annoying. But also, I don't understand this whole disjointedness people hear and the criticism on the lack of poetic lyrics versus the inclusion of like pop culture references or one-liners. I don't understand the issues about it. I really don't, because as I said in my reaction video, to me, it makes so much sense because like I said, I do a lot of parts work in therapy, and also as an author, there are times when I'm going through an experience and I'm not super great at processing it, especially depending on the depth of the feelings and how negative the feelings are. And so I'll be writing a book, not intending to process my feelings through said book. And then when I'm going through to edit that book, I read things where I go, okay, that is my feelings on the page. I didn't know I did that. I didn't know I gave it to my character. I didn't realize that. But it's like, that's why my books feel so personal to me, and why criticisms of them feel so personal is because it feels like the character is a version of me in a way. Kind of like a cosplay version. It's not like a full version of me, but it's like a cosplay of me, and in some facet of how I was feeling. And I feel like that's what these songs feel like to me. Like somebody complained that Elizabeth Taylor, the song, doesn't have enough of Elizabeth Taylor in it. And I'm like, there's a bunch of little references throughout that song to Elizabeth Taylor that if you research Elizabeth Taylor, you will find out that they are connections to her. But beyond that, that song to me feels like Taylor cosplaying Elizabeth Taylor to tell the story of her own experience via the voice of a character. And same thing with like father figure, actually romantic, like all of them, they all feel like a little bit of a character that she's utilizing as the mouthpiece to tell a specific story. And I love it. And I think the thing that I love so much about it too is that in previous songs, which I also love this, don't get me wrong, it's very clear what a song is about. It's very clear what perspective it's written from. It's very clear this is her personal experience. But these songs, while they have some of that, it feels easier to slip into. Like you could have whatever experience is applicable to you through that song. Does this make any sense? I don't know. But it's just like, it's driving me crazy that people keep taking a poop on this album that is now my favorite album. There have been 2 albums since Evermore, and neither one of them took Evermore from my top ranking. There have been 5 albums since Reputation, and none of them, other than Evermore obviously, have taken the mantle from Reputation. But this album has. And it doesn't have to be your favorite, but it's just making me crazy that people are taking this album and using it almost as a way to question Taylor's ability, her, whether or not she's in touch with the world. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're asking like whether or not she understands what her fans are wanting, all these things. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This music is so good. It's so diverse. It's so interesting. It's so fun. It's so catchy, but not in an annoying way where it's like Baby Shark. Like, it's so good. There's so much depth of storytelling, and some of the best storytelling in the world is, they say show don't tell. That phrase can be taken kind of on a ride, but there's so much storytelling in what she's doing where she's saying less, but the picture is so tangible. And I like father figure, for instance, we don't get a clear picture of which person she sees herself as. We don't get a clear picture of who we're supposed to root for and who we're not. That's kind of the point. And I love the imagery of it. I love how much richness there is in this. And I love the blending between the facets of her personality where she is the poet, but she is also funny and witty and playful. And I love seeing those things come together like this. in such a clever and inventive way. And I love how she designed this to be about showgirls, but in different facets, in different realities, in different time periods, in different situations, and how she was able to take her own experiences and paint them in this picture. And it's almost actually, it's kind of like a love story, where she had this relationship where this guy that she was really into, that her dad was like, no, you're not dating this guy, he's not good. And in her mind, she played it out like Romeo and Juliet, like they're star-crossed lovers. And it's almost like she did that with all of these experiences of hers, where she was like, she had the experience and then went into her head and was like, but what if it's not me being taken for a ride by this person I trusted, they're in the mafia. And they groomed me to come up in the mafia too, and to be like their second in command, but I tried to usurp it. It's like she takes her experience and is really pulling you into this beautiful novel type of situation. Like every song, maybe that's why I identify with it so much. This album feels like every song is a book, and it's so epic and interesting, and the tone of the music so clearly describes the genre and the vibe that we're in, and it so obviously fits it. And I love it. Is basically what I'm saying. And again, everybody's allowed to have their own opinion. If you don't like this album, that's okay, you don't have to. Like she said, you talking negatively about it doesn't matter. As long as you're saying her name, it's helping her album, which I really appreciate that outlook. I just think I wish people would give this album a few more listens before they decide they don't like it. Like, listen to a song like 5 times before you really decide you don't like it. Because there have been songs, we've all had this, where you've been convinced you hate it, and then suddenly you're like, wait, actually, I kind of love this. So it's like, give it a minute to simmer before you decide you don't like it. It's fine if you just don't vibe. But I'm really getting tired of hearing all these comparisons of Taylor herself, of comparing her to her past self and going, well, she changed and therefore I'm upset with her because this isn't as good as this in my opinion, or she didn't do it like this, and she didn't talk like she did in Evermore or Folklore, or she, the bops aren't hitting enough for me. And it's like, well, you listened to it one time while you were in the car, like, or while you were doing laundry or whatever, like, maybe calm down. It's just, I wish people would really take a second for the art to fully sink in, and to stop trying to define who she is based on her music and go, well, this is who she is and this is what I can expect from her is because this is what she does. No, what Taylor does is tell stories, and she does it very well. She's going to choose to do it differently for the rest of her life because she's a creative, and that's what we do. We're always evolving and changing and trying things, but she will always tell stories. That's who Taylor is. That's what you can always expect, is storytelling. But she's not just going to be the poet for forever. That's not reality. And it's also not always the best fit for the story. Not all forms of prose match all stories. A good writer knows that they have to allow the story to dictate what the writing sounds like, and vice versa. So I don't want to put anybody down for having a negative opinion or tell you you're wrong or you're bad or anything like that, but there's so much negativity being flushed out into the internet the last week, and as somebody who's been celebrating the last week, I'm getting so tired of not only hearing it on the internet, but of having people I know tell me, oh, I didn't really like it that much. I mean, for one thing, I don't think I asked. For another thing, I love it. I would never tell you I didn't like something you loved unless you asked me. But also, like I said, it just feels like people are passing a judgment really quickly without fully taking in the art, and that really bothers me, and it bothers me how much comparison there is. Like I said, I hate that we are just going, well, this is who I thought she was, and now she's not who I thought she was, so now I'm mad about it. Good Lord, people. What do you even want? You don't know. That's what. So anyways, I'm gonna be done now. I just wanted to come on here and say that because nobody's gonna care what I think, but I do, and I just wanted to have one more video on the internet in defense of this album because it's so freaking amazing. I kid you not, I have never in my life listened to an entire album from start to finish, all the songs, on repeat for days like this. There's always songs on, you know, especially Taylor's albums where it's like, oh, I like, you know, like 70% of them. And the other 30%, like, they're fine, but they're not ones that I really want on repeat. They're ones that I want occasionally, but not constantly. But this album, and that's not a dig at any of her past albums, they're amazing. But this is the first album where every single track is something that I'm happy to listen to on a loop. That's never happened to me before. And I'm so excited about it. And so if you don't like it, that's okay. I'm just kind of tired of people sharing negative opinions that nobody asked for or needed or wanted. But anyways, to all who celebrate, congratulations to us. Yay for us. We have something amazing to listen to. And to Taylor Swift, congratulations on an incredible album because you 100% outdid yourself. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. Thank you guys for watching. If you're still here, you're awesome. I appreciate you for caring about my humble little opinion. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video, which I would imagine is probably not going to be Taylor Swift themed for once. So yeah, anyways, although she will clearly be there.